This is the very room that the first core program class occurred in back in 1964. That's the first I ever spoke to any new college students, although the faculty were at the other end. I'm not sure what the significance of the shift to this end is, but anyway, it was the first room. Before I begin, though, I'd like to make a word about the word postmodern, since it's billed as New College and Postmodern Education. The word was novel, relatively speaking, back in the 60s when the college was founded. Now it's somewhat dated, 50 years later, but I'm using it anyway. And the different meanings are legion, as you know. One of the reasons for using it is that back in 1964, in the second semester when the college first began, Arnold Toynbee was here. And he used the word postmodern. And he dated the postmodern in 1875. And I think he did that. He called it the time of troubles. Heidegger later called it the darkening of the world. It was the beginning of questioning the Enlightenment. And so postmodern came to mean a sort of counter-enlightenment or a questioning of the Enlightenment. That's his use. But another person, Charles Jenks, if you've heard, he's an architectural theorist, he used the word for beginning in St. Louis in 1972 on July 15th at 3:32 p.m. That, according to Jenks, is when the postmodern began. Why did he pick that? Well, there was a very minimalist housing project in St. Louis that was demolished. And so another meaning of the postmodern is the attack on minimalism. Instead of less is more, which was the whole cry of minimalism, it was Venturi's less is a bore. And so the idea of the postmodern became something like the eclectic then. So you got two. You got one a kind of somber, time of woes and darkening of the world. The other a more carnivalesque, sort of upbeat aspect of things. I use it for still a third reason that's more connected maybe with the second than the first, and that is for Derrida's notion of deconstruction, challenging all the basic binary oppositions of Western culture, all the key dichotomies upon which Western culture is built. I had them on the blackboard, although I noticed when I came in I couldn't see what was on the blackboard, so probably you can't see it either. What I've got on the blackboard, though, I'll say, it's for my benefit more than yours perhaps, what I've got on the blackboard is the distinction over here between the unobservable and the observable. That is on a little picture I have in my office, a cartoon, Ronald Searle's cartoon of Bertrand Russell, if any of you have ever seen it, and it's a wonderful cartoon. At the bottom of it is this critique of Russell. All earthly knowledge finally explored, man feels himself from doubt and dogma free. There are more things in heaven, though, my Lord, than are dreamed of in your philosophy, echoing the Shakespeare thing. So there's the observable and there's the unobservable. My point is, all of Western culture provides three interpretations of that common sense contrast. The pre-modern world, I have the Greek and the medieval there, thinks of the unobservable as the transcendent, the higher. That's why you can't see it. It's up there. And the observable is the immanent, down here. That's what you can see. So that contrast between the transcendent and the immanent is one thing that Russell is trying to challenge, and I think in Derrida, and I am trying to challenge. To challenge that dualism of transcendence and immanence. The second interpretation that I've got there is the subjective versus the objective. The unobservable becomes the inner, not the higher. And the observable becomes the outer. You see how that shifts? Instead of this vertical transcendence of higher and lower, the modern world sets man over against the world, in control of the world, with an inner-outer contrast. A dramatic paradigm shift that constitutes the modern world. But Derrida and I challenge that dichotomy or binary opposition as well. The final one, which is the postmodern, is saying instead of thinking of the unobservable as the higher or the inner, why not think of it as the not yet, the prospective? Why you can't see it is because these are future possibilities. So instead of thinking of the sacred as up there or in here, think of the sacred as a call, as a possibility to achieve, but has not yet been achieved. So that becomes the domain of aspiration. Over against that, what was down here or out there, becomes observation. Because you know, when you think of observation, think of observing the planets and the stars, you're looking into the past. You're not over against the world looking at it. You're in the world looking at the past. So observation is always of the past, retrospective. And aspiration is always toward the future. These three interpretations, or these three dichotomies, are in one sense the same dichotomy. And I think in calling them all into question, you have what postmodern education is all about, to make it much more straightforward and simple.